Welcome to week 10 of History 311 Online. This week we'll be taking a look at two more historical landscapes in America, the Dust Bowl of the American Southwest and the Delta region of Mississippi. Our aim is to draw the connections between the economic and environmental hard times of the Great Depression and the regional folk music cultures that grew out of these two regions. Here we'll see the historical experience of the age captured at the grassroots level of music and song performance, where the landscape itself often took center stage. A hardscrabble farmer's landscape that stretched from the Dust Bowl of the Southwest to the flood-prone cotton lowlands of the Mississippi Delta. As you listen to the music, notice how the experience of hard times could find popular voice, and sometimes protest, through song. From the Dust Bowl to the Delta, we'll find music that was traditionally played by ordinary people with only modest resources for things like instruments, and most likely no money at all for formal musical training. Instead, players and singers learned from one another, and instead of crowded concert halls, they played on front porches, at country picnics, or maybe the local juke joint or country fair. Both country folk and county blues music had long existed as pure forms of musical expression, what we call folk music, meaning borrowed and traded, copied and improvised, taught and learned, but without formal production or recording. Yet as America's economy brought forth new opportunities for technology and mass marketing in the 20th century, it was the development of the radio and the national marketing that supported an expanding popular market for recorded music. And the folk and blues performers you'll hear this week were among the first to be broadcast, or even paid, usually in the form of a flat fee with no royalties for recording or performing their music. For the most part, they were given a one-time nominal cash payment to record the songs, and the record companies who marketed the music kept whatever profit came from selling the vinyl records to retailers or radio stations. No record stores in those days, usually only a market or drugstore or traveling peddler who might sell records on the side. So, few of these performers became either rich or famous during the Depression, and the music they created remained rather local and often racially segregated according to the customs of the day, with so-called race music sold to mostly black consumers, and hillbilly or country music sold to rural whites. Yet the potential for radio to broadcast music meant that songs could cross racial boundaries through non-segregated airways and non-segregated radios. And white college kids in towns like Memphis could just as easily hear black music on the radio. In fact, that's what happened. And the demand for what by the 1940s was called rhythm and blues meant that the music would adapt and live on for new generations of music consumers of all races and backgrounds. Rock and roll itself was an outgrowth of this popular demand. And by the 1960s, a renewed interest in folk and blues music saw both the songs and artists who had pioneered the sound back in the 1920s and Great Depression rediscovered and reintroduced to new and larger audiences in a new global age of popular music. When the so-called British invasion of the 1960s saw popular British bands such as the Beatles take America by storm, it's worth noting that the music they played was inspired by the country folk and blues of the Depression, which came directly to them through those non-segregated airwaves by the 1950s. In a sense, the Beatles and Rolling Stones and other British invasion bands were simply bringing America's once segregated music back to the country where it had been born, as a pop culture phenomenon. As always, check out our Week 10 assignment overview on Canvas to help keep track of the tasks you're assigned. I'll continue reading and grading past assignments, so as always, I thank you for your patience. Please don't hesitate to get in touch with me if you have any questions about the course. Call me during office hours, or better yet, send me an email. Take care, everyone.